So thank you, all of you, for this last meeting of today. We are at our second day at Benitali at home with LLS and Winebo. We are in Toscana right now, and we are presenting, I'm introducing Miriam Caporali from Tenuta Valdipiatta. Miriam will introduce her winery, talk about the area, the different wines, and I will collect the questions in the chat, and at the end of the presentation, I will ask Miriam the questions. So first, Miriam, thank you so much for being here today, and it's all yours. So the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Marcello. Thank you for your invitation. I'm very glad to be here. So, my name is Miriam Caporali. I am the owner of Tenuta Valdipiatta. We are a family-run winery located in Montepulciano, Tuscany. We are in the southern part of Tuscany, southeast in the province of Siena, halfway between Rome and Florence, very close to the border with Umbria. Our winery was born in mid-60s. It was founded by a previous owner, and it was purchased by my family in mid-80s. Actually, my father, when he purchased Valdipiatta, he first of all realized this dream. That was to go back to his origin, because my grandparents were from Tuscany, and they were growing vineyards and selling grapes. They were not making their own wine. So at that time, in the mid-80s, we were living in Rome. I grew up in Rome. But my father really wanted to go back to Tuscany, to the quality of life of Tuscany. And then when he saw, by chance, Tenuta Valdipiatta, he said, this will be our Shangri-La. And we moved from Rome to Tuscany to change our lifestyle, actually, and to realize the main dream that was making our own wine. And we never regret about this choice. Today is myself and my husband who take care of the winery. And we are very happy to be in Montepulciano, that is one of the jewels of Tuscany. Talking about our property, we are very close to the center of Montepulciano. We are just below the main hill of Montepulciano. Montepulciano, the town, is located at 200 feet above sea level. And Montepulciano is the main hill is surrounded by rolling hills that form very open valleys. And this is very important because these valleys are hit by very strong radiation. And you know that the quality of the light is one of the most influent factors for the quality of the grape and the growing of the vineyards. And one of these valleys is the valley where we are located. In fact, the Valdipiatta means a flat valley because we are in a U-shaped valley. And the first owner, when he decided to give the name of the winery, took the official name, which is on the official map, Valdipiatta, for the winery itself. So our vineyards are located at an altitude that varies from 1,000 to 1,200 feet above sea level. We own in total 55 acres. All around the headquarters of Valdipiatta, all around the cellar, and on the slopes of the hills that are just in front of our cellar. So it's a very concentrated property. Our vineyards, half of our vineyards were planted in the 60s, so they are old vineyards. And our property is divided in small plots that are at different altitudes and with different exposures. And this is very important because having so many different microclimates, our wines are enriched by a higher complexity. Talking about the climate conditions, the conditions of Montepulciano in general and Valdipiatta in particular are characterized by a Mediterranean climate. So it's a temperate climate. The temperatures varies from 31 to 85 Fahrenheit. We experience very little snow. It's a very rare episode. And the rainfall are very well spread along along the year. The peak of concentration usually are in spring and winter time. The temperature climate is also given by the position, because Montepulciano is the internal side of Tuscany. So we do not feel the influence of the sea, but we feel the influence of the Trasimeno Lake, which is one of the second largest lake of the center of Italy. At the end, and also the soil in Montepulciano are poor soil, which are the perfect soil for the Sangiovese. They are sedimentary soil full of marine fossils, and they are composed by a combination of clay and sandy soil that we call tufos. So the Sangiovese is the king of grape of Tuscany, and it's the most important grape for Vino Nobile di Montepulciano. Because being in Montepulciano, the most representative wine that we produce is the DOCG appellation, the Vino Nobile. Besides this, we produce the Rosso di Montepulciano, which is the everyday version of the Vino Nobile. And being in the province of Siena, we are also allowed to produce with our own grape a Chianti Colli Senesi, Chianti from the hills of Siena. The philosophy of the winery has always been to be focused on indigenous varietals. So besides the Sangiovese, we have always been growing other traditional grapes, such as Canaiolo Nero and Mammolo. And so, but besides this, the traditional approach, we have always gave an eye outside of Montepulciano, outside of Italy. And so since the beginning of our activity, beginning of 90s, we started a cooperation with the French winemakers. In particular, at that time, we started to work with Monsieur Yves Glory, that was the chief of the University of Bordeaux at that time. And at that time, he invented a method, the phenolic maturation method, that we've been the first to apply on the Sangiovese grape. This is very important because it's a method that allows to have a better knowledge on the ripeness of the Sangiovese, of the grapes in general, because today this method is applied all over the world on any kind of grape. And it allows to vinify with more consciousness and to extract the best part of the grapes. And this is very important for the Sangiovese in particular, that tends to have very strong tannins that can also have aggressive components. So we try to avoid all the bitterness, all the green sensations, and we try to extract only the best part and the best concentration from the grapes. Talking about our wines, I was saying that besides the most traditional wines of the region, so Vino Nobile and Rosso di Montepulciano, we produce a Chianti. So our Chianti Colli Senesi is this is the bottle, is a blend of Sangiovese, Canaiolo Nero, is the same blend of Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, but it comes from younger vineyards that are aged between 15 and 20 years old. The altitude is the average altitude of 1,000 feet above sea level. And we produced our first bottle of Chianti in the vintage 2004. And this was because we are in the main appellation, in the largest appellation of Chianti. Chianti appellation covers the most part of Tuscany. And also because we know that Chianti is one of the most well-known Italian words in the world, together with the pizza and mamma. So we knew that together with the Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, which is quite difficult to pronounce, we could have been able to produce also a Chianti to introduce our wines. And this is a wine that has a short aging, only 3 months in large barrels of Slavonian oak. Even if it's a wine that we consider an everyday wine, is also pretty gastronomic because it has a good concentration. It has an intense aroma of the Sangiovese grape and the Canaiolo, the traditional one that we use. So all the range of the wild berries, cherry, black plum, and the tannins are very soft and enjoyable. So you do not need too complex pairing. You can also pair with the traditional plate with cold cuts and cheeses, the tagliere toscano. Besides the Chianti Colli Senesi, the other everyday wine that we produce is our Rosso di Montepulciano. The Rosso di Montepulciano is made, it's really the wine that we enjoy without thinking too much. It is the wine that you can open with any kind of friend without being too worried about wasting an opportunity. So this is a blend of Sangiovese, Canaiolo Nero, like Vino Nobile, but for this wine we also use another very particular grape, which is the Mammolo. The Mammolo is not used very much today because it's a grape that doesn't give any concentration, any color, because it has large berries and a light color. It's pinky, but it has very intense aromas. It's a kind of aromatic varietal. So we like to use it for the Rosso di Montepulciano that needs to be so alive in its expression. It ages for only 3 months in a small French oak barrique, only the 20% of the blend. And it's a wine that can be also served at lower temperature. So in summertime, it's a perfect barbecue wine, a terrace wine. And a little note about this is the last vintage that we have produced, 2018, is the first organic certified vintage that we have produced. Because our winery has started the process of organic certification in 2015, and we have achieved the European one in this vintage. And this is our one of everyday wine. Then we have the flagship wine of Montepulciano, the Vino Nobile. We produce the Vino Nobile di Montepulciano in 2 different labels. The classic Vino Nobile, which is the blue label, and the single vineyard, which is the Vigna d'Alfiero. This wine represents half of our production. And it comes from a very strict selection of the best grapes that we have in our oldest vineyards. There is not a fixed recipe to produce this wine, sorry. But every year, we, on the basis on the specific vintage, we select the Sangiovese grapes, the vineyards that really enhance the quality of the Sangiovese and the Canaiolo in that specific vintage. In order to decide this selection and to realize the blend of the Vino Nobile, we have a very important support, which is our second more recent French winemaker, whose name is Eric Boisneau. He has his own laboratory in Médoc, and he works with all the Grand Cru Médoc, Château Latour, Palmer, Brion. And in 2009, he started to work with us in the blending session of the Vino Nobile di Montepulciano. After the blend is released at the beginning of next year after the harvest, so February, March, the blend goes in barrels and it stays aged there for 18 months, principally in large barrels, Slavonian oak, and the little part in French oak barrique. After that, the aging in the bottle is very important for us, because the Vino Nobile di Montepulciano is a wine that with the bottle aging achieve an increase in complexity. Compared with the Rosso di Montepulciano and the Chianti, this is still a more gastronomic wine. You have a deeper color and higher concentration, besides the notes of plums, of cherry, of wild berries, violet, you also have the spicy notes coming from the aging, but also coming from the grape themselves.